Mr. Chairman, and welcome back to the committee, Dr. Freehoff. It's nice to have you here. Today, we're holding a hearing, as the chairman has said, on EPA's ongoing implementation of the Toxic Substance Control Act, TSCA. In 2016, Congress passed in a bipartisan way overhauled the TSCA program, strengthening EPA's authority to evaluate and regulate new and existing chemicals. These were significant, as you know, working them, a significant bipartisan achievement. Among other changes, the revised TSCA program established legally enforceable deadlines for EPA decisions. These deadlines are a key facet of the new TSCA, and one I'd like to particularly focus on today. The chairman's already talked a bit about this. Since being confirmed in your role, you have repeatedly stated, including in your testimony today, that a lack of resources is the reason EPA has repeatedly missed statutory deadlines. With regard to existing chemicals, you have said, quote, "It shouldn't come as a surprise that we expect to miss every single deadline for the final risk management rules for these first 10 evaluations and every single deadline for the next 20 risk evaluations." Well, I have to be clear here, it does come as a bit of a surprise to hear a blanket pronouncement such as this, in particular when EPA's appropriations have been received over the past few years have been developed in a bipartisan way. You have blamed the root cause of TSCA's delay on the prior administration gutting the program, but we're 18 months into the Biden administration. Compared to 2016, you have dozens more full-time equivalent employees working within the TSCA program, and user fees have risen by over 600%. In 2021, EPA issued 146 final determinations on new chemical submissions, fewer than any other year of the prior administration. The Obama administration, which was tasked with standing up the entire new TSCA program, issued 92 determinations from June 23, 2016 until the end of its final year. In contrast, as of last month, your office has issued final determinations only 23 times for 2022 submissions over a comparable amount of time. And that's really the crux of the issue that we'll be talking about today. Previous administrations were able to do more with fewer resources, and I guess the question would be, why is that? It seems that internal changes pushed by the administration to the TSCA program are undermining EPA's ability to meet its statutory obligation. 10 risk evaluations finalized between June 2020 and January 2021 have all now been reopened, adding to a more supposedly already overstretched staff's plate. According to your previous statements, impacted communities will now have to wait to at least 2025 to see an eventual risk management rule for these high-priority chemical substances. In your request for more robust funding to the TSCA program, you continually point to the increased workload that your office is facing. It kind of seems to me that a lot of the workload is self-generated mission creep of the TSCA program that's not required by the statute. Under the Biden EPA, risk evaluations must now include exposure pathways covered by other EPA-administered statutes like the Clean Air and Clean Water Act, as well as assess fence line community exposure. Your office has revised risk evaluation models to make highly questionable assumptions that OSHA standards are insufficient and that workers are not routinely wearing PPE. Finally, the agency is no longer issuing risk findings for individual conditions of use, but is adopting a whole chemical approach. Taken together, these policy changes have created a situation where existing chemicals under review will most certainly face an unreasonable risk determination going forward. So this expansion of your office's works beyond what TSCA requires has exacerbated the workload issues and is at odds with the intent of the statute. In addition, it seems staff resources have been diverted to programs without existing authorizations, like IRIS and Safer Choice, with EPA prioritizing elective programs over statutorily authorized programs. I don't have to tell you this, but in today's turbulent economic times, the importance of reliable, efficient domestic supply chains for key technologies like semiconductors and batteries has become increasingly apparent. Even food stocks essential for the Biden administration's renewable energy priorities like batteries and solar panels are being held in regulatory limbo. Delays in approving new chemical submissions directly impact our economic and national security and ultimately will help fuel inflation and scarcity. We can all agree that everybody will benefit from getting this TSCA implementation on track. I look forward to hearing what specific actions you plan to take administratively beyond just asking for additional resources to fulfill the office's statutory obligations in a timely and cost-effective manner. Thank you. I yield back.